Prince Vladimir was slowly realizing that when his grandmother Olga had converted decades earlier, it had not been an admission of weakness, but an act of cunning. War brought glory to the Rus, but trade and commerce was the lifeblood of the realm. The princes of Kiev had maintained trade relations with their neighbors, but in order to deepen their ties with the wealthiest realms of Eurasia, they needed monotheism. Once more, it is Nestor's chronicle which tells us the legend of Vladimir's conversion. In 987, the Grand Prince had envoys sent to learn about Judaism, Islam, Latin Christianity, and Greek Christianity to choose which faith would be the best fit for his people. Vladimir was unimpressed by Judaism, pithily asking why a people exiled from their homeland could be a model to follow. Islam did not make a great impression either, as rather than venturing to the splendorous city of Baghdad, the Rus envoys learned about the faith from the Muslims of Volga Bulgaria, remarking, "There is no gladness among them, only sorrow and a great stench. Their religion is not a good one." Upon learning that Islam prohibited the consumption of alcohol, Vladimir remarked, "Drinking is the joy of the Rus. We cannot exist without that pleasure." Meanwhile, the Rus emissaries who had travelled to the western lands of the Franks proclaimed that their churches were unimpressive and their Latin rites were without beauty. Only in the Eastern Roman Empire did the envoys find joy. In Constantinople they bore witness to the full splendour of Orthodox ritual within the opulence of the Hagia Sophia. Upon their return, they said to their prince, "We no longer knew whether we were in heaven or on earth, nor such beauty, and we know not how to tell of it." Vladimir was sold upon the path of Byzantine Christianity, and the future of the Rus peoples was decided. Despite these colourful anecdotes, the real reason for Vladimir's choice was most likely a matter of pragmatism. Of the lands his envoys went to, Eastern Rome was the closest and richest, and furthermore, the expeditions of Igor and Oleg had already secured them a working, if rocky, relationship with the Greeks. Therefore, Vladimir stood to gain more politically and economically by choosing Eastern Orthodox Christianity over Islam, Judaism, or the Latin Rite. The Grand Prince was still a warrior at heart and wanted to convert on his own terms. To that end, he marched southwards with his army and took the Byzantine city of Chersonesus on the tip of the Crimea. From that position of power, he made a bold offer to Byzantine Emperor Basil II. "I have learned that you have an unmarried sister. If you will not give her to me, I shall do to Constantinople the very same as with Chersonesus." To the Eastern Romans, it was nigh unheard of for a Byzantine princess to be married off to some marauding northern barbarian. However, Basil was busy dealing with insurrection in his empire, fighting the rebellious general Bardas Phocas. He was in no position to open another front against the Rus. It was a decidedly better option to make an ally of them. Thus, the Roman Emperor agreed to give up his sister on two caveats. First, that Vladimir would send military aid to help him crush Phocas's rebellion, and second, that the Rus prince would convert to Orthodox Christianity, which he wanted to do anyway. In 988, the deal was struck. Vladimir was baptized in Chersonesus, renouncing his many consorts and marrying Princess Anna. He then went home, returning the town to the Greeks. True to his word, Vladimir sent a force of 6,000 Norse warriors across the Bosphorus, where they crushed Phocas's insurrection. So impressed were the Byzantines by these northern warriors that Varangian mercenaries would become the principal honor guard of the Eastern Roman emperors for centuries to come. Meanwhile, Vladimir's first order of business was to have his sons and boyars baptized, and he managed that with little difficulty. Next, he smashed the idols upon the hills above Kiev, which he himself had erected barely 10 years prior. On every street of the capital, town criers declared that by decree of the prince, every man, woman and child was to come to the banks of the river, where they would all be christened in a mass baptism. Some went willingly, while some were coerced by threats of violence. Whatever the method, the people of Kiev were all baptized in the waters of the Dnieper. This mass conversion was not entirely peaceful, as many still clung to the old gods. In Novgorod, the elderly Dobrynya spread the Christian faith as per his nephew's will. However, he was attacked by a violent pagan mob which set fire to his home and killed his wife. In the end, the old regent forced the city to convert by fire and sword. Pockets of the Rus undoubtedly clung on to the old ways for a time, but by the end of Vladimir's reign, all major cities and centers of commerce became Christian by persuasion or force. The rest of Prince Vladimir's reign passed relatively uneventfully.